And it took me bringing the day of my spirituality, the light, the zeal, the enthusiasm, the surrender, the belief, all of that. It took the day and the night of my discouragement to till the inner landscape for that new revealing to come forward with greater effect. Because that knowing is layered, yes? At one moment we will feel the 100% certainty of that knowing. And then there will be a cavern of unexplored territory in our soul where that light will shine, where we still have a little discouragement, a little self-doubt, so that the revealing of those messages can penetrate all of those places until we are consistently and unceasingly illumined from within in our lives. And perhaps the greatest challenge to that, perhaps, would be fear. Fear of what that unknown might unleash. Fear of the mysterious part of our being. And yet we are more mystery than known. There can be great consolation in knowing we're more mystery than known. That makes our entire lives a playground, an adventure, and an exploration. And we can see our fears simply as placeholders instead of dominant forces. There's a lovely story. There are these ancient, I don't know if they're Indian or Sufi, but it's a character named Nasruddin, and he seems to be the moral teacher or the teller of the story. And in this story, Nasruddin goes to visit his friend in eastern India. And it must have been many, many years ago. The friend lives in a thatched home with a dirt floor. And they spend the day and the night. And right as they wake up the next morning, his friend jumps out of bed and picks up a bag of corn and goes to his doorway and starts sprinkling the corn across his doorway. And Nasruddin's like, that's kind of weird. But he didn't ask him. So the day and the night go by, and they wake up the next morning, and his friend jumps up again, grabs the corn first thing, and starts sprinkling across the threshold. And again, Nasruddin's like, weird. But for some reason, he didn't say anything. So the third day and night go by, they get up, he picks up the corn again, sprinkles it across the threshold, and finally Nasruddin says, "What are you doing?" And his friend says with utter sincerity, "I'm keeping away the white tigers." And Nasruddin said, "But there aren't any white tigers in this region of the country." And his friend says, "See, it works." I think that is a fantastic story giving us an example of what our fears are. They're simply the sprinkling of the corn to keep us safe from a reality that's not even really out there. And when we see our fears simply as a placeholder, I'm sprinkling corn, we can just stop sprinkling the corn. We don't have to fix ourselves and change dramatic things in our lives. We can just stop sprinkling the corn so that reality can teach us. Saying yes to the entire canvas and tapestry of our lives. I want to read for you another poem. There is an open cavern within, sitting still like the starry expanse, empty with a void, pregnant with an expectation. New life on its way. Stay empty, my companion. Stay pregnant, my friend. The labor pains are soon to start, unraveling all you thought you knew, desolating all you thought you had. And soon, so soon, the laughter of new life will be sitting upon your lap. It is that. It is the saying yes to the emptiness, coming from the resonance that we sense within of the pregnancy. Spirit is continually birthing, coming to full term within us. And it is that resonance, whether we can put words to it or not, there's a feel, there's a sense, there's a push. Sometimes we might speak of it as a sense of not quite lining up, something of a lack, something of a longing. It's because there is the stoking of this fire of spirit within. So our emptiness is not empty into being nothingness. Our emptiness is simply an identification that we are pregnant with something that we have yet to birth. And allowing ourselves to enjoy the pregnancy creates a gracious platform to give new birth. Yes, there is dismantling. Yes, we will find that being faithful to that will sometimes look to all around us that we are being unfaithful. Because pregnancies are only felt by the one pregnant. And so I support you in saying that yes to spirit arising from within as it beckons you. For me, as you can tell, the language is one of love. I'm very much a lover archetype, and my relationship with the divine is imbued with that sensory pleasure. And your language might be different. But what is universal is that core of our nature is the pulsing of the unsounded. It's the matrix. Silence to me, one of the reasons I love silence, is a matrix replete with communication, new layers and new levels of communication and communion, where what fails to align as our yes grows wider in every direction simply naturally falls away. I'm sure you have found that when you've said yes in a new way to a personal sense of calling, even the people in your life form different constellations. And maybe some of them leave your constellation, and some come closer to where you might be shining. The mystery of the journey. Stay empty, my companion. Stay pregnant, my friend. When I left the monastery in 2001, my entire community really, the leaders of the community really felt that I was losing my way because I was such a natural contemplative, and I loved being Carmelite. Does anyone know anything about Carmelite spirituality? A little. Does anybody know any of the works of Teresa of Avila? There are many popular writers today, Carolyn Meese being one of them, who are drawing upon their mystical teachings. Teresa of Avila is Carmelite. John of the Cross is another mystic, and they are an incredibly powerful mystical school. And when you enter a Carmelite monastery, eventually you take vows for life. So I had taken vows for life at 4.5 years, and I never looked back. In fact, energetically, every cell in me had been changed and shifted that I felt myself Carmelite. I looked at the world with glasses that were Carmelite. That was my lens. And towards the end of my years as a Carmelite, I was not looking for that to shift or change, but it did. If you watch my TED Talk, that formed part of the tilling of the new direction I was meant to go. And when I left, I did not have the support of my community because they thought I'd lost my way and that I was a threat to everyone. So all these women that I had grown close to for years and years, I was not highly encouraged. I was discouraged to keep any contact with anyone because of what I represented. But since I've left, I always get the question, why did you enter and why did you leave? And one of the misconceptions that has come with that was that I left so that I could be of service. That somehow being in a monastery and not speaking with people and not having hands-on forms of service, that somehow I was not being of service there, but now I could be in the world to be of service. That to me is a misconception. The greatest service that we can be in our world is to turn inward and to allow ourselves to be informed by Spirit within. And let our yes be so private that we simply embody it. And it doesn't matter whether someone hears your voice or sees your face or experiences the touch of your hand. What matters is your own alignment with Spirit. That is of service, because vibrationally then you lift the world. And so being out of the monastery is simply another face to the exact same journey and love affair that is at the heart of my own personal happiness. Say yes. Wrestle with the movement of Spirit within you. Challenge the structures that seem to give you safety so that your safety can be transferred to the ground found within. And you will live that light like that magnificent passage and reading. And all will celebrate their spirit. As we allow the divine to teach us from within and then in the face of creation, the I-thou eventually dissolves into the oneness that at the soul's center is God. And we find that paradox as well, that you are guide and you are guided. All in one. Thank you. It's wonderful to be with you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for a very inspiring talk, and I remind all of you to check the information in your program about her workshop this afternoon, because I'm sure there is more and there are ways to live that yes. I would like to invite our ushers up, please. And as you choose to give today, I remind you that as we give, so we receive. So I invite you to take your gift in your hand, and rather than repeating our abundance affirmation, just take a moment, shut your eyes, and repeat, I am blessed. There is one source, and it is a rich source, and I am one with it. I give from my heart, and I receive in infinite ways. Thank you, God, and so it is.